This is going to be the explanation or the major points for revision of this chapter, which is chapter 1 of Civics, the Indian Constitution. In this chapter, what exactly we are learning? First of all, we will understand the meaning of constitution, then the need of constitution for a country, then key features of the Indian constitution, because we have to learn about Indian constitution, in which there will be fundamental rights also, which is a very very important part of our constitution. So we will learn that. And when you're learning this, make sure that you have the book, because when you will see your book, you will get to know ki where we are learning and then what are the things which you have to focus on. So let's start. So first of all, we should know the definition. The document of rules and regulation according to which a country is governed will be known as constitution. Now if we define it in simple terms, or if we try to understand the simple meaning of constitution, it is the supreme law of any country, supreme rules of any country. So this is how we can understand it simply. All democratic country has the constitution. So when we see any country is having constitution, it does not mean that that country is democratic, because nowadays many countries claim themselves as democratic but they are not. But yes, if there is any democratic country, they must be having this constitution, this document. Now what are the needs of constitution? So yes, we should know what are the needs. So this is given in your book through an example of Nepal. So Nepal was once a monarchy system. I mean, there was monarchy system in Nepal, and how people aspired for a system where they can participate more, where the government is more responsible towards the citizen. How the struggle went, we will be talking about that, and then we will understand what is the new system there. Obviously it would be democratic, but let's read about it. And when you're learning this, you should know about Nepal's current situation, like what is the type of government there, who are the major government officers or the ministers. Like if we are talking about Prime Minister of Nepal, who is the Prime Minister of Nepal, and if we are talking about the president, who is the President of Nepal, you should know it. And if you know it, just write it in the comment. Okay. Next, a constitution serves as a set of rules and principles that all persons in a country agree. Okay, so when in Nepal there was a monarchy system, people actually didn't like it after a time period. So they started protesting against it in the time period of Gyanendra. There was a king whose name was Gyanendra. So in his time period they started protesting against it. The constitution also provides safeguard against the authority who have the power. So in your book there is a story in which it is shown that there is a child who has got the power being a monitor, and then he misused that power by putting like false claim or false allegations on a child in the class. So then it is the misuse of power. But when in the country, in the real life, we see the powers are can be misused by the representatives whom we have elected, and they are on the highest post, so then they can use that as they for their benefit and to harm somebody else also. So from that, our constitution provides safeguard. Okay, the constitution also ensures that a dominant group does not use its power against the less powerful people. So if we talk about, again one example is given, football story in your book. So when we see in our society there are different majority groups. It can be religious majority, it can be cultural majority. Okay, so in that way any kind of majority, if there is any society, so then it should be like protected. The minorities of that particular area should be protected from them, because yes, every time it happens where majority people rules, they try to control things. So in that case we need to protect the minority from the majority. Example are so many in our country. Even if you take the example of religion, you see there are many religion, but in India Hinduism in majority, and sometimes we see the effects, we can say side effects of that they are being in majority. Sometimes they try to be dominant, but it cannot happen because we have constitution. The rules are already written that everybody is equal in front of law. So yeah, then it also defines the nature of the country's political system. So any country, what type of country it is, what is the people's aspirations, and how they are actually uh, working there, what they aspire for, what they want from their nation, and how they want their nation to be. So their thinking, their ideology works here. When we talk about a constitution, it represents their ideology, their way of thinking, their aspirations. In Nepal's case, we saw that thing, that people wanted democratic system, they brought it, and once it is brought, the constitution worked really well to maintain it. Then we talk about the now we will talk about the Indian constitution. So constitution, before it was prepared, there was a long struggle, there was a long history of it. So what happened, what were the different events took place before our constitution prepared, we will be talking about them. So Indian constitution was formed by Constituent Assembly. So Constituent Assembly was basically the group of people who sat together and decided what should be written in the constitution, how it should be drafted, and many more things from the different parts of the country, what are the different issues and how it can be solved. So everything was decided in Constituent Assembly. So for that we needed Constituent Assembly, and this Constituent Assembly was first demanded by M.N. Roy. Okay, so he demanded it in 1934. Head of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. But you should know that before Rajendra Prasad, there was one more person who was appointed as the president of Constituent Assembly, and he was Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. And the first meeting of this Constituent Assembly was held on 9 December 1946. After that, it took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days time to complete it. And you can see there are pictures. One picture there you can see Rajendra Prasad is there, and in both the pictures actually Rajendra Prasad is there, and he is in first picture the president of Constituent Assembly addressing the Independence Day session on 15th August 1947, and in the second picture signing the Constitution of India as passed by the Constituent Assembly on 24th January 1950. Everybody should know these dates. When you are being literate through the book and now you know everything, so you should never be confused about the dates. Like when we celebrate Republic Day, what is its importance, you should know about it. Okay, then the Constituent, as I've told you, the Indian Constitution was made in 2 years, 11 months and 18 days, and it was prepared on, it was ready actually on 26th November 1949. It was implemented from 26th January 1950, and the reason behind this was that this day, 26th January, we had, like not we, but actually Indian National Congress had decided to declare it as the Independence Day, but somehow we have got independence on some other day, which was 15th August. Then we kept this safe, and then we understanding the importance of this day, we have started celebrating this Republic Day on this day, because that day we became republic after enforcing the Constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is known as the father of Indian Constitution because he was the chairman of drafting committee. Now you should be clear about this, that the Constituent Assembly had different committees, and one of them was a drafting committee, and in drafting committee there were 7 members. Okay, and the chairperson of that committee was B.R. Ambedkar. So he actually guided to develop a draft for the constitution. That's why he is known as the father of constitution. And there are certain pictures you can see. These pictures are of that time when the constitution was being prepared. So many meetings were there, and then when it was signed, you can see in the center of the picture there is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He is addressing here the meetings, and yeah, there are so many sessions, so you should know about these sessions. Then we will come to the features of Indian constitution. So there are 5 main features which are mentioned in your book, and those you should know, and there are many more. If you will read in detail about the constitution, you will get to know a lot of distinct features about your constitution. That's why it is the world's largest written constitution, not largest but longest written constitution. So first thing is federalism. The first feature of your constitution is federalism. Now what is the meaning of federalism? When we say federalism, it means the system in a country of having more than 2 levels of the government. Now when we talk about levels, we will be talking about vertical division of power of the government, in which we have central level, then state level, and then local level. So government's power is divided on 3 different levels to make everyone participate in the government and to stop the centralization of power. Next we have parliamentary form of the government, in which the main people, like the one who is going to make laws for the country, they will be elected by the elections, like voting by adults of our country. So adults are basically 18 years and above. But this age was not same when our country got independence. At that time this age, and the constitution was made, that time this age was 21. But in 1989, when Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister, he changed it to 18 years. Okay. So you should know these facts. These are very important facts and you should know about it. The leaders will take the decisions in the welfare of the people. So when we talk about parliament, parliament is the representatives house. There people sit in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. They talk about the different issues in the country. Then they prepare a law, and then it is signed by the president, and then law becomes, actually in the beginning it is bill, and then later when it is signed by the president, it becomes the act or law. Okay, next is secularism. Secularism means you have a different whole chapter on this topic, but still we will discuss it. So secularism is basically when any state does not mean here the provinces of the country or political division of the country. No, here we are talking about the government of the country. The government is known as state, in which all the government institutions will be included. So it means that state has no official religion and all religions are treated equally. Then we have our next feature, which is separation of power. And when we talk about separation of power, it is different from federalism. There we see vertical power division. Here we see horizontal power of division. Means if we have one level, suppose it is a central level, so power will be divided into 3 bodies, 3 organs of the central level. Okay, so it can be legislature, executive and judiciary. Legislature will formulate laws, executive will execute it or implement it, and judiciary will take care if it is followed properly or not in the country. Okay, and this on the other side, if you see on the left side, you have the preamble of your constitution, which is very, very important. Why? Because this document is basically the introduction of our constitution, the summary of our constitution, or you can say from here we have taken all the important principles of our, this is the base from where we have taken all the different provisions for our different laws. Okay, so we should know about our preamble. It is very, very important. Next we have fundamental rights as the feature of Indian constitution. So fundamental rights are basically six there, and those six rights are very important. Why? Because it makes you a dignified citizen of the country. So it is very important. But whenever you are learning about fundamental rights, I would suggest learn about your fundamental duties as well, because if you don't follow your duties, you are not supposed to enjoy your fundamental rights. Okay, so let's talk about it. The basic rights which are very essential for all human beings and guaranteed by the constitution are called fundamental rights. So this is given by your constitution, and it is in the third part of the constitution. So yes, it is important, and it is from article number 12 to 35. So if you will read constitution, you will find different provisions and details in these articles. So Indian constitution provides six fundamental rights. One is right to equality, that everyone is equal before law. It is, if it is a rickshawala or the president of our country, no matter, everybody is equal in front of law. Then we have, and there are many other things are also there. Article 15 says there will be no discrimination. Article 17 says that there will be there is abolishment of untouchability in our country. Like we are not practicing untouchability anymore, but it's just in the records, but in the real life in many places you can see the example yet, and that is because of the lack of education. So we should be aware about our rights and the rules and regulations whatever are given in our this book constitution. Then right to freedom. So there are so many rights, there are so many freedoms given in our country. Like you can walk easily anywhere, any part of the country, you can travel anywhere in the country, and you can reside anywhere, or you can work anywhere, है ना? You can profess your religion, you can promote your religion, all these. So you have got a lot of freedom of speech, which is the most important freedom, I can say. Okay, so these are the things which makes you a valuable person of the society or the country. Next is the right against exploitation. So as I've told you, majority minority case, so always majority dominate. So what we try to do through this, that we give the rights to the minorities and majorities as well, that nobody will be exploiting you. If they exploit, you can go to the Supreme Court or High Court. Next right is right to freedom of religion. Right to freedom of religion means we are secular first, and second thing, we will respect all the religion, and if you have any religion, you will practice it. You can convert into any religion according to your will. Means these are the things which are given in this. Next we have cultural and educational rights. So everybody is having the right to get educated, to open schools of their culture, their community. So these are given in this right. Then we have last right, which is the most important right, right to constitutional remedies. It means that constitution provide remedies to those problems or those issues where the fundamental rights are violated by the state. So you can go directly to the Supreme Court or High Court. This way we finished this chapter. There are certain pictures where Constituent Assembly member, they are signing the constitution, and the two documents are showing the signature and the name of the people who have signed. So yeah, with this, and these are the people of Constituent Assembly. With this we have finished this chapter. So thank you.